这是一条让我能触摸祖先的路。
या ठिकाणी नोकरी धंदा व व्यवसाय या संधी 12 महिने उपलब्ध असतात.
这里又顿的财富。
Bu gaz kuburu bizga kirsa keladi.
I am working in wind farm and as well as for my hometown.
มีความเข้าใจซึ่งกันและกัน
I believe very soon I will see the train traveling and I use it in travel.
Brand new Asia.
Tương lai chúng ta sẽ ngày càng tốt đẹp hơn.
Itai Ilu.
Among the hills of northern Pakistan, a girls' primary school stands halfway up a mountain.
Going to school.
13-year-old Manaza is in the 5th grade. In 2005, the school was badly damaged in an earthquake. The present building is now 10 years old. The classrooms, constructed from wooden boards, look dilapidated. There's no lighting inside. The whole school is served by a single light bulb hanging outside. After school, Manaza walks home along a winding mountain path. She begins her homework as soon as she gets there, anxious to finish it before sunset. Electricity is very expensive in Pakistan, accounting for roughly 10% of the average family's monthly expenditure. There are frequent power cuts, and not only in places like Manaza's village. Even the big cities like Islamabad and Karachi are regularly affected. Department stores, hospitals, government offices, and many residential buildings are equipped with their own independent generators. In the summer, the national electricity shortfall can reach as much as 5 million kilowatts. Conakry is the capital and largest city of Guinea. It's also a leading port in West Africa. After nightfall, most of Conakry is plunged into darkness. The lights that can be seen are few and far between. Children studying by the light of street lamps is a common sight here. The children's devotion to their studies is an inspiration to many Guineans. Yet the photographs also highlight a pressing problem: the severe shortage of electricity in the country. According to the United Nations, Guinea is one of the least developed countries in the world. It has an underdeveloped industrial base, with progress constrained by the limited installed capacity of its thermal and hydropower stations. The amount of usable electricity generated used to be less than 120,000 kilowatt hours, enough to provide a city of 1 million people with lighting for a day. Guinea is known as the water tower of West Africa. It has more than 1,000 rivers, which offer the potential to generate 6 million kilowatts of power. But only 2% of that capacity has been utilized. The shortage of electricity is severely restricting national and regional economic prosperity. The Oak Ridge National Laboratory in the United States has produced an illustration of global electricity consumption. The amount of lighting at night is a direct indicator of a country's economic development. Of the world's 7 billion people, 2.8 billion have limited access to electricity, while 1.8 billion have no access at all. Electricity shortages have become a bottleneck in the industrialization of developing countries. In other words, factories and production lines in many countries are often forced to shut down due to a lack of power. At an electric appliance manufacturing company in Xinjiang, engineers are working on an overseas order. The giant transformer is a key piece of equipment in a power station. It alters the voltage produced by the power generator so that the electricity can be transferred to the power grid. The rebuilt Karakoram Highway will transport the China-made large transformers across the Karakoram Mountains and Hindu Kush into Pakistan. Life is about to change for Manaza. Not far from her village is the confluence of the Neelam and Ajelam rivers. Here, an electricity generating plant is under construction. With an installed capacity of 963,000 kilowatts, it will be the largest hydropower plant in Pakistan. Beneath it lies the second longest underground tunnel in Asia. This diversion route extends for nearly 70 kilometers, a distance it takes the train 40 minutes to complete. Using the latest excavating machinery, another tunnel is being dug into the mountain at a rate of 6 meters a day. This tunnel will be 10 kilometers long. A huge dam is being built at the plant. For the past 7 years, more than 300 engineering and management personnel from China have been working here, alongside their Pakistani colleagues. The Neelam Jhelum plant is to date the largest overseas hydropower project undertaken by a Chinese company. With its completion in 2017, it will be capable of providing 500 million kilowatt hours of electricity a year. This will alleviate 15% of the power shortfall in Pakistan and to generate revenue of 45 billion Pakistani rupees or 400 million US dollars. The plant is one of 22 cooperative projects agreed by China and Pakistan in the energy field. On Pakistan's south coast, a coal-fired power station is under construction. At the site, Pakistani engineer Asif and his colleagues are conducting a measurement with the aid of GPS. They are calculating the lateral distance between two giant boilers, 200 meters away. The permitted margin of error is just 2 millimeters. The Port Qasim coal-fired power project will generate 9.5 billion kilowatt hours annually, sufficient to cover a sixth of Pakistan's electricity shortfall. The project, a key part of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, is invested jointly by the Power Construction Corporation of China and the Qatari royal family. Costing an estimated 2 billion US dollars, it is expected to begin generating electricity in 2017. The project is the latest example of successful cooperation involving China, Pakistan, and Qatar. At the groundbreaking ceremony on May 6, 2014, Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif stressed that solving the power issue meant more than meeting people's needs for electricity. He described the project itself as a beam of light in the dark, brightening the future for Pakistan. The afternoon downpour has left the town drenched. Manaka has come home in the rain. The first thing she needs to do is charge her mobile phone. Electricity has become an inseparable part of modern life. But in Sri Lanka, the high cost used to be a major financial burden.
ඉස්සර අපි ගොඩක් ටීවී බලනවා ඒවා මේවා අඩුවෙන් කරන්නේ එතනින් ගියාම කරන්ට් බඩු පාවිච්චි වුණත් අඩුයි මොකද විදුලි බිල ගොඩක් යනවා ඕගොල්ලෝ විශ්වාස කරනවා ලෝක ප්‍රසිද්ධ බිඳම වෙලා
But a new coal-fired power plant has changed Manaka's life. It is September 16th, 2014. Visiting Chinese President Xi Jinping and Mahinda Rajapaksa, the then president of Sri Lanka, are attending the inauguration ceremony of the Puttalam power plant. President Rajapaksa takes the opportunity to announce a nationwide reduction in the price of electricity. The Puttalam coal power plant, located 130 kilometers north of the capital, Colombo, is Sri Lanka's largest producer of electricity. Its 3 generators can supply over 1/3 of the total electricity capacity of Sri Lanka's national power grid. Starting in 2007 and lasting for 7 years, the plant's construction is the largest economic cooperation project between China and Sri Lanka to date. The project was carried out by the China Machinery Engineering Corporation, A large part of the funding was covered by a $1.3 billion loan from the Export-Import Bank of China. Coal for the Putumlam plant is supplied by Indonesia, Russia, and South Africa. During peak times, it consumes up to 6,600 tons of coal a day, equivalent to the load capacity of more than 800 heavy-duty trucks. Previously, Sri Lanka relied heavily on oil for generating electricity, but this is expensive. Using coal, the cost of generating electricity is 5 US cents per kilowatt hour, a reduction of 2/3. The benefits of the Putulam power plant's cheaper electricity are felt not only by industry and other sectors of the economy, but also by ordinary people. Electricity, apart from improving everyday life, boosts a country's confidence and its potential for development. On May 28, 2015, the first generating unit of the Kaleta Hydropower Station was put into operation. This is the largest hydropower project in Guinea. Its 220 kilovolt transmission line now carries electricity to the capital city, Conakry, over 150 kilometers away, and to 11 surrounding districts. The completion of the Kaleta Hydropower Station has effectively doubled Guinea's installed power capacity. It was built by the China Three Gorges Corporation, the company behind the Three Gorges Dam, the largest hydropower project in the world.
在“一带一路”的建设当中，我们实现了自我自身的可持续的发展。通过利用海外的资源，我们扩大了经营规模，我们输送出了中国技术、中国品牌，同时带出去了中国的优质产能。
On the newly issued 20,000 Guinea franc note, there's a view of the Kaleta Hydropower Station. For Guinea, a steady electricity supply brings not only light, but also the strength to promote industrial development and economic growth.
Nous avons donc besoin de travailler ensemble, d'autant plus que nos relations remontent très loin. Donc nous avons aujourd'hui la volonté d'établir une relation stratégique avec le gouvernement chinois et avec les autorités chinoises. Donc cela est extrêmement important pour nous aujourd'hui. Donc nous souhaitons vivement renforcer davantage cette coopération. Nous avons déjà les trois gorges qui ont fait le barrage. Nous avons Huawei qui est en train de faire la fibre optique. Donc nous souhaitons une collaboration beaucoup plus poussée.
For developing countries, simply addressing power shortages is not enough. They also need to develop the energy sector in order to push forward industrialization. Most of the countries along the routes of the Belt and Road are at the primary stage of industrialization. Industrial value added accounts for around 30% of GDP. In most African countries, the contribution of the manufacturing sector to GDP is less than 15%. Industrialization is a prerequisite for development. The developing countries' over-reliance on domestic resources and the export of primary products can only be rectified through industrialization.
在现行的全球经济结构中，发展中国家之所以经济发展处于相对落后的地位，跟没有完成工业化进程，制造业在国民经济结构中间处于相对劣势的位置呢，有直接的关系。
Many developing countries, in striving to transform their economies, have identified industrialization as their development strategy. This tallies with the vision and mission of the Belt and Road Initiative, which is to deepen international production capacity cooperation and boost industrialization in developing countries. Rili is a small city close to China's southwest border. Though outwardly peaceful and traditional, it is a busy economic hotspot. Bipumo has been living in Rili for the past 3 months. He comes from Myanmar, across the border, where he grew up in poverty. Every day, crowds of people cross from Myanmar into China through Rili port. Many are involved in the jade trade, although there are also factory workers among them. Bipumo works as a skilled technician at a motorcycle factory in Rili. The factory, owned by the Lifan Group Corporation of Chongqing, manufactures motorcycles for export to Southeast Asia. Its high-quality, reasonably priced bikes have proved popular in countries like Myanmar and Vietnam. As Bipumo becomes more skilled, so his income has risen. But many of his fellow countrymen are unwilling to travel abroad like he has, and instead are looking forward to the economic situation improving in Myanmar. Pawil is a teacher of Chinese at Moscow State University. He has a second career, which also makes use of his language skills. It's with a Chinese company, Sunny. Pawil is a distributor of Sunny products in Russia. Sani is one of the biggest machinery manufacturers in China, and he chose to work for the company because of its good reputation. Pawil has even sold Sani products to the Arctic, where the Chinese-made equipment stands up to the harsh test of the extreme cold.
你们中国人有一句话叫“远亲不如近邻”，所以如果我们跟中国人合作，你们有发展，我们有发展；你们有稳定，我们也有稳定。所以这样的话，“一带一路”呢，如果中国政府跟我们合作，现在就是合作呢，我觉得真是一个挺好的一个项目呢。
Pawil takes pride in the fact that many of the Chinese products he distributes feature remarkable technological advances. The stretch of buildings near the Moscow River all rise above 300 meters. The highest, at 509 meters, is acclaimed as Europe's tallest building. Its construction involved the use of 4 ultra-high-pressure truck-mounted concrete pumps, which conveyed 220,000 cubic meters of high-strength concrete. The vertical concrete pumping height reached 354 meters. This made-in-China technology has contributed to several landmark buildings worldwide. The Burj Khalifa, built with reinforced concrete, is 828 meters high. The construction of what is the tallest building in the world involved 21 Chinese-made pumping machines. The Shanghai World Financial Center is the 5th tallest skyscraper in the world. During its construction, an ultra-high-pressure truck-mounted concrete pump, which was made in China, set a world record for vertical concrete pumping of 492 meters. The outstanding performance of China-made products and the rise of Chinese companies on the machinery market have earned the country recognition as a global manufacturing giant. The output value of China's machinery industry accounts for over a third of the global total. The country's machine tool production represents 38% of global output. China-built ships and China-made power-generating equipment account for 41% and 60% of the global market, respectively. The output and export volumes of more than 200 Chinese products rank first in the world. Their advanced technology, sound reputation, and affordability have made Chinese products highly competitive. They are particularly attractive to the emerging economies along the Belt and Road. Asian Development Bank figures revealed that the economic growth of 45 developing economies in Asia was 5.9% last year. This was more than double the average growth of the developed countries. However, such rapid economic growth brings its own problems. Developing countries face a pressing need to address the shortcomings in their industrial and transport infrastructure. By following the example of the developed economies and upgrading their industries, they can transform the existing economic model of over-reliance on resource exports. China has, by depending on its strong industrial capability, attained sufficient strength for its industry, production capacity, and equipment manufacturing to go global. This provides a basis for a new model of cooperation with other developing countries. The world welcomes the competitiveness and quality of Chinese products. Thanks to the success of its Going Global strategy, China has been able to build up a new economic model with the countries along the Belt and Road routes, based on pragmatic cooperation aimed at achieving mutual benefits and win-win outcomes. For several multinational corporations, the lure of the industrial park has proved irresistible. The zone occupies 3.5% of the land area of Suzhou and employs 5% of its population. Its output value accounts for 15% of the city's total, along with around 25% of its import and export value. Some 200 research and development institutions and 1,000 high-tech companies have come together in this park. High technology is responsible for over 70% of its gross industrial output value. As a joint project between the governments of China and Singapore, the Suzhou Industrial Park is pioneering a new form of economic and technological cooperation. Since the 1988 opening of China's first economic and technological development zone in Dalian, more than 200 similar zones have been established in large and medium-sized cities nationwide. The economic and technological development zones have given rise to a new administrative and development model in which industries and cities are combined. These new types of industrial areas include the Suzhou Industrial Park and Tianjin Binhai New Area. Developing countries are keen to adopt this new approach to industrial development. It's March 2016 and the city of Minsk is covered with thick snow. Belarus's Deputy Prime Minister Anatoly Kalinin has come for the 6th time to the China-Belarus Industrial Park. Such frequent, high-profile visits by Kalinin and other state leaders are an indication of the great importance attached to the park by the Belarusian government.
Это показательная площадка для китайских и белорусских партнеров.
In a further sign of its importance, President Alexander Lukashenko signed a presidential decree granting park occupants a series of preferential policies. These include tax exemptions for the first 10 years, tax reductions of 50% for the following 10 years, and rights to land use for up to 99 years. The China-Belarus Industrial Park is located 25 kilometers to the east of the capital city, Minsk. It's indisputably a giant project, covering 90 square kilometers. It's a third of the size of central Minsk. Its proximity to Minsk International Airport, a railway, and the Berlin-Moscow highway, which actually runs through it, affords the park excellent conditions for development.
就是要准备建这一片，这片在那边哈，建筑面积包括这库房、商务中心、展示中心，大约是10万平米。
Кроме инвестиций, кроме финансовых средств, это, конечно же, привлечение новых технологий, которыми обладает Китай на сегодня. Это привлечение менеджмента, это привлечение кадров. Только в парке, только на первом этапе будет создано порядка от 10 до 20 тысяч рабочих мест. Это большая цифра, для Беларуси также это важно.
As a major international investment zone, the China-Belarus Industrial Park will bring together high-end industries. It's May 10th, 2015. Chinese President Xi Jinping is visiting the China-Belarus Industrial Park, accompanied by President Alexander Lukashenko. President Xi says the park should be built as a pearl on the Silk Road economic belt and a model of mutually beneficial cooperation.
Мы выделили в очень удобном месте. Как он сказал, красивее мест я не видел. Большой участок земли для того, чтобы создать здесь основную платформу шелкового пути, экономического пояса шелкового пути в этом великом движении от Китая до Европейского Союза. Поэтому я к этому однозначно положительно отношусь, потому что был причастен и очень серьезно вместе с Си Цзиньпином к созданию вот этой великой экономической дороги.
Belarus's industrial transformation and upgrading is being mirrored elsewhere in the world. Egypt is another country that is building industrial zones. The city of Suez lies adjacent to the key Egyptian port of Ain Sokhna. Suez is where Nesma lives with her family. It takes her an hour by bus from her home to the Suez Economic and Trade Cooperation Zone. There, Nesma works in a garment factory. She earns $500 a month, 5 times what she used to get. As the highest wage earner in the family, she pays her younger brother's school fees. Just 6 years ago, as Nesma remembers, the site of the Economic and Trade Cooperation Zone was an area of wasteland.
وفتحت مصانع أكتر من الأول بكثير ووسائل مواصلات يعني توفرت وسائل مواصلات ومبقاش في صينيين بس في المنطقة بقى في مصريين كمان مشتركين في الاستثمار.
The cooperation zone encompasses 5 distinct industrial areas. There is a petroleum equipment manufacturing area, along with one for manufacturing high and low voltage appliances. There are also fabric and garment making and new construction material areas, as well as one for manufacturing agricultural equipment. In all, 58 businesses are operating in the zone, providing nearly 2,000 jobs, with 90% of employees recruited locally. One of these businesses is China Jushi. Present here since 2012, it's the world's largest producer of fiberglass. The company installed a fiberglass production line at a cost of $200 million. It sells 90% of its output, or 80,000 tons of fiberglass annually, to Europe, Turkey, and the Middle East. To date, the company has paid over 100 million Egyptian pounds in local taxes, based on sales revenue of 300 million pounds. The Suez Economic and Trade Cooperation Zone is currently undergoing expansion. The expanded zone is expected to draw 150 more companies and create an additional 40,000 jobs. These companies are expected to operate in the areas of vehicle manufacturing, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, and electronics. Their advanced technology and management know-how will boost Egypt's industrial upgrading.
توقعي انه النمو في هذه الهيئة هيكون نمو سريع. البداية من خلال 461 كيلو متر مربع في موزعة على 4 مناطق، وهو ما يناظر على سبيل المثال ثلثي مساحة سنغافورة. إنما توقعي بإذن الله تعالى إنه الهيئة ستنمو على مساحات أكبر في وقت قصير بإذن الله تعالى.
The zone goes beyond the scope of traditional trade. It has moved economic cooperation between emerging markets and developing economies into the areas of industry, logistics, investment, finance, and even culture. For Egypt, all this constitutes a new model of industrialization. By the end of 2015, China was responsible for 75 overseas economic and trade cooperation zones. Together, they generated output value of $42.09 billion and $1.42 billion in tax revenues for the host countries. They also created more than 150,000 local jobs.
现在呢，你看有一个很大的这个表现，就是说，最近1-2年来，这个国际大宗商品市场的这种资源价格大跌。 但是呢，亚洲国家确实在这个问题上却表现比跟上个世纪90年代相比，他们的表现就很好得多。很大程度上是因为他们的产业也有一定程度的变化，很大程度上是因为他们承接了中国的一些产业，所以呢，在这个时候他们抵抗风险、抵抗外部冲击的能力就要比过去强了很多。
Cooperation can have no barrier. It must be open and mutually beneficial. The China-Malaysia Qinzhou Industrial Park and Malaysia-China Kuantan Industrial Park were both established in 2012. The business philosophy of both is to achieve a beneficial alignment between an industrial park and a port. The port of Qinzhou on China's south coast serves wide areas of southwestern and southern China. Emerging industries are the Qinzhou Park's main focus. Equipment manufacturing, electronic information, and modern services feature prominently here. They will benefit from Qinzhou's special relationship with Kuantan Port. Kuantan is the biggest city on Malaysia's east coast. Its industrial park is currently a busy construction site. A modern steel mill is first to be built. In the long term, the Kuntan Park will have a concentration of modern manufacturing industries. The nearby port is currently being upgraded into a deep-water harbor. The Kuntan Industrial Park, by being oriented towards the coastal areas of China, will serve as a platform for economic and trade cooperation between the two countries and beyond to Southeast Asia. There already exists extensive, deep, and fruitful cooperation between China and the ASEAN countries, including Malaysia. It covers fields such as industry, the economy and trade, science and technology, disaster relief and prevention, as well as intellectual property rights protection. To date, 12 sessions of the China-ASEAN Expo and China-ASEAN Business and Investment Summit have been held. They have become important platforms for furthering economic and trade cooperation and communication between China and ASEAN. In 2015, bilateral trade between China and ASEAN reached $472.2 billion and two-way accumulative investment amounted to $156.5 billion. China has been ASEAN's biggest trading partner for the past 7 years running, and ASEAN has been China's third largest trading partner for 5 years. Iran, known in history as Persia, is a country with an ancient civilization. It's March 18, 2010. In a desert in southwest Iran, Sinopec International Petroleum Exploration and Production Corporation is drilling the first well in the Yadavaran oil field. Exploration has revealed that the site has proven oil reserves of 3.2 billion barrels and natural gas reserves of 80 billion cubic meters. Iran long ago determined that exploiting the Yadavaran oil field was vital to its economic development, but it faced many difficulties in obtaining the necessary funding and technology. Iran approached China in the hope that one of its petroleum companies might participate in the project. But no Chinese company had ever drilled in such a potentially rich foreign oil field before. Sinopec faced many challenges, and the business, legal, and technological negotiations were prolonged.
We can have a full cooperation together. Thank you very much.
After 4.5 years and more than 100 rounds of negotiations, China and Iran eventually reached agreement. "685 days after the start of drilling, the Yadavaran oil field yielded its first barrel of oil. This was a milestone for Chinese petroleum companies operating abroad and working with a foreign government to exploit a key oil field. It's not only major energy projects that are benefiting from Chinese cooperation along the Belt and Road routes. Zaman-ud is a small town on the China-Mongolian border with a permanent population of fewer than 10,000. In this town, Chinese companies are working on an infrastructure development project. The residents have always depended on wells for their drinking water and small household boilers for warmth in winter.
"最开始来的时候，咱们的没有统一的这个市政工程建设，每到冬天之后， 因为没有集中供暖，煤炭烧的小锅炉，整个街道上弥漫了一股呛人的这个烟味。
现场环境特别恶劣，那个四周都是黄沙一片，没有生活用水，没有生活用电。每次站在这个工棚里，看着对面2连浩特灯火璀璨，我们这儿的漆黑一片，心里就特别孤单。
Zaman Ud's infrastructure reconstruction project will connect every household with heating pipelines and bring running water into every home.
我记得有一次，就是我们大家一起去商场里面买东西嘛，然后他那个服务员就问我们，说你们净水厂什么时候才能完工啊？然后我们什么时候才能喝到你们这个产出来的自来水呢？他自己是刚生了一个宝宝，宝宝刚刚出生，然后他不希望宝宝今后再继续去喝这种苦咸水，所以当时我听完之后就觉得心里反正挺不是滋味的，然后觉得一种无形的这种责任感特别的重。
Chinese New Year is approaching. The temperature is -20. This is the coldest time of year in Zaman Ud. The Chinese staff are celebrating Chinese New Year here, away from their own country. But still, their main concern is installing the water and heating supply systems as soon as possible. Once they have clean drinking water, people can aspire to clean energy. In August 2015, work began on the second unit at the Karachi nuclear power complex. For the first time, China's own HPR-1000 nuclear technology was expanding its reach overseas. HPR-1000 incorporates innovative 1,000,000 kilowatt pressurized water reactor technology. It's the culmination of China's experience in nuclear power development over the past 30 years. A key feature is its comprehensive and balanced safety design. In 2000 and 2001, China completed the construction of 2 plants for the Chashma nuclear power complex in Pakistan. Plant 1, after 16 years of uninterrupted operation, has been listed as one of the world's best performing nuclear power stations by the International Atomic Energy Agency. Nuclear power is not the only type of clean energy in use in Pakistan. Jampir is a desert region where the vegetation is sparse. The most abundant resource here is the wind. Engineer Zahid and his Chinese colleagues have a special task to perform. They will climb up to the tallest place in the desert, the top of a wind turbine, 80 meters above ground level. Giant windmills were erected as part of the first wind power project involving cooperation between China and Pakistan. Built by China Three Gorges Corporation, the project has been in operation since 2014. The development of clean energy will ease Pakistan's electricity shortages and reduce its reliance on oil and gas. The task facing Zahid and his colleagues is to clean the parts of the anemometer systems where sand has accumulated.
7.3米每秒。
80 meters above the ground, the winds are even stronger, but Zahid doesn't mind. He's proud to be doing this work.
My hometown is 70 kilometers away in this direction. So this electric power is supplied to my hometown as well. So here I am working in wind farm and as well as for my hometown.
Clean energy is now a common aspiration for humankind. China, by making use of its technological advantages, is promoting the development and use of clean and economic new energies.
我们要把“一带一路”建设成一个绿色的、生态的“一带一路”啊，所以我们在基础设施建设，我们非常注重环境保护；在产能建设上，我们坚持环保的标准规范啊，一定搞好环境保护啊。这不但是这个合作国家的要求，也是我们自身的要求。
By helping to alleviate resource shortages in the host countries, the green projects are bringing light and energy as well as confidence and hope. Chinese people and Chinese companies, through their worldwide presence and their hard work and cooperation, are building a future in line with the hopes of humankind. The pictures were painted by children from countries along the Belt and Road routes. Imaginative and playful, they present the children's view of a changing world and reveal their dreams and expectations.